fellow horror fanatics, it's election day. Certainly, I hope you are all doing your civic duty and voting, and I'm hoping I can distract you from some of the unfortunate real life drama that will be taking place today with a quick list for my top 5 picks for politicians in horror because politics is always a pretty horrifying game indeed. Let's get rolling with that list.
Number 5. The President. Escape from New York.
Okay, I know, I'm kind of cheating with this one. Escape from New York is not really a horror movie, it's more science fiction, but it's got very deep connections to horror. Directed by John Carpenter, produced by Deborah Hill, starring Kurt Russell, Adrienne Barbeau, and of course Donald Pleasance, Sam Loomis himself, who I think had some fun with this one, playing his presidential character to sniveling, cowardly, Weasley perfection, particularly in the final moments where he murders Isaac Hayes' Duke and totally refuses to express any remorse for any of the characters that died to save his life. On to the next one.
Number 4. Greg Stillson. The Dead Zone.
I really don't know why Martin Sheen didn't do more villainous roles because he was damn good at it. And Greg Stillson is no exception. The failed Bible salesman turned congressman turned senator turned presidential hopeful who is filled with delusions of grandeur to the point that he will actually use a baby as a shield to protect himself. Stephen King never made much secret of where his political leanings are, and he definitely goes out of his way to make Stillson as unlikable a political character as possible. Regardless of your leanings, I think you got to admit that Martin Sheen threw himself into this role and created a truly memorable villain. On to the next one.
Number 3. Duke Metger. Tales from the Hood.
Much like Stephen King, Spike Lee never made much secret of where he stands on certain issues, and Tales from the Hood was no exception, particularly the installment starring Duke Metger, played by Corbin Burnson, who went as far as he could possibly to make the most caricature of a racist stereotype. We yearn to see Duke get his comeuppance at the hands of the pint-sized terrors, who, by the way, those are some pretty creepy-looking dolls and are underrated, and the stop motion on most of them is pretty good. Duke certainly makes us yearn to see him get his, and dies in perfect fashion, clinging the American flag. On to the next one.
Number 2. Baxter Harris. Scary Movie.
I gotta be honest, I was never all that big in the scary movie films. The first one I thought actually was pretty lousy. The second one was easily the best, because you can't top Tim Curry. And from there, it was just mediocre. But there was a definite highlight in Leslie Nielsen playing Baxter Harris, the president. Unfortunately, Leslie Nielsen's career was in a tail dive at the time. He'd burnt himself out in a lot of those zany 80s comedies. But he was able to renew his career and delight us once again as a bumbling, clueless president who stumbles his way through disaster, cheerfully oblivious. Only Leslie Nielsen could. And the number 1 pick for the top politician of horror has got to be
Mayor Larry Vaughan. Jaws.
though the volume on those jackets alone earns him the top spot. But truly, Mayor Vaughan is the most smarmy, most stubborn, most arrogant politician of horror who you can't wait to see get his. Even though he never officially does, the shark doesn't eat him after all. The character certainly plays the great role of being obstructionist enough that you hate his guts, but yet in the end just pathetic enough that you can feel a little sorry for him. And even in admitting his own error in reopening the beaches, he still can't bring himself to completely own up, insisting, no, I did it for the good of the town. I hope you all enjoyed this list. I hope you all voted. And by the way, folks, just remember, Mayor Vaughan is still mayor in Jaws 2, so elections matter. Please, people, whatever the outcome of this election, let's all try to work together and look out for each other, particularly we of the horror community and the mutant fam. As always, folks, I'm your host, the Nightmare Nerd. Watch out for me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can hear me on the House That Screams podcast, see my writings in House of Tortured Souls. I'm hoping to continue branching out. I encourage you all to take your precautions, wash your hands, wear your masks, eat, drink, and be scary, and I'll see you next time.